just want to be in the zone.
Really big episode for you guys this week. It's been weeks, if not months in the making.
I'm going to interrupt Kaza for just a second because we've really been working towards this moment for almost 2 years now. When we started the build, Delos 2.0 was just a wide open skeleton of aluminum frames. Over the first few months, we started adding plates and watching her shape come to life. After about 5 months, we flipped the upside down hole right side up, and slowly all the gaps started filling in. In the last few episodes, you've seen the first windows and hatches going in, and now on day 667 of this project, we're putting in the final windows on the outside of the hull, which marks a huge milestone for us. Delos 2.0 will officially be all closed up, and apart from the rigging, the deck coverings, the electrical system, the rest of the propulsion system, the interior, cabinetry, and finishings, and about 1,080 other ongoing projects, we finally have a glimpse of how she'll look. And spoiler alert, she's pretty dang sexy.
So make sure you watch all the way to the end to finally see the boat getting all closed up and kind of why this step matters so much for what's coming next in the build.
I just want to be in the zone. I just want to be in the zone.
Wow, it is a busy week in the shop. We've had Bill is here helping us. Our patron Aiden came in to help me out. We've got obviously Dan and Dane working on the head and the starboard side now. Steve and Steve are here installing the wardrobes and some of the cabinetry. Yeah, it's a little bit interesting trying to coordinate so many different trades because, you know, there's like obviously tools everywhere. You need a huge amount of electrical cords and power. People need space to work, like tables to lay stuff out on. And then I need to make sure that everybody kind of like has what they need, like scaffolding, like glue, like everything. But we're doing it and shit's happening.
Okay guys, I'm just gonna go into the air-conditioned office for a little bit. And like Brian said, there's been a lot going on at the build lately, and I've kind of always struggled with this like work-life balance and kind of knowing when to slow down or even how to slow down. And I feel like this boat build has definitely tested me in that. There is like a million decisions every single day and so many things to figure out, and I want to do it really well. And like I mentioned in a previous episode, I have this great therapist, and in our last session, I just want to share with you guys, we were sitting and we were talking about like the workload and all the pressure I put on myself, and she just kind of paused and looked at me and said, "Karen, you are enough." And naturally, I just started crying so much. And I think it's because I realized like this drive comes from me kind of just like having the belief that I need to do more to be enough. So she gave me this very simple exercise. It felt a little bit strange at first, but it's basically just standing in front of the mirror, looking at myself, saying out loud, "Karen, you are enough." And like I said, it's such a simple exercise, but practicing that kind of every day has actually been really nice. And as you guys know, we've been working with BetterHelp, and that is also the paid partner of this week's video for quite a few years now. And I just love being able to be so honest with you guys in this space and also promoting something that I really believe in. And mental health is such a huge topic, but I think speaking more openly about it and also showing more vulnerability in this space feels really important. And with BetterHelp, it's simple to get started. You just fill out a quick questionnaire and you'll be matched with a therapist in as little as a couple of days. So you just head on over to betterhelp.com/Delos or click the link in the description below or the top comment to get 10% off your first month of therapy. Okay, thank you guys honestly so much for listening and for watching the videos. It really does mean a lot. Now I'm gonna go back out and continue to build.
The guys from Allfab, Ryan and Lee, just showed up to start installing the PMMA hull windows. So these guys are gonna actually start going in the boat. We're gonna start on the port hull on this side.
So we need to back up a few steps here because there's a lot of work that's led up to popping these babies in. The design process of these windows was actually quite cool. We decided to go with PMMA acrylic. It's lightweight, shatter resistant, and easy to fabricate. You might know it by its brand names of Perspex or plexiglass. In order to meet safety standards, for us it needs to be 12 millimeters in thickness, which we weren't able to source here in Australia. So we actually got these made in Sweden by Rutgerson. The coolest part about them is the flush-mounted opening port lights. These insets were machined by Rutgerson at their factory, and it's basically like a mini hatch that lets you open up the window for airflow. But when you see them from the outside, the whole thing looks totally sleek and streamlined.
Before we glue these windows in, we actually need to do some prep work. In particular, I think we have to do what's called banding on the inside. So banding is you create a strip of UV protecting material that adheres to the acrylic, and then the adhesive adheres to the aluminum, and the banding protects the, we'll just call it glue, from UV damage, because otherwise the UV will come right through the acrylic, it'll damage the glue, and then you get leaks. And I think it's a really critical step that a lot of people miss on this. So in order to do that, we have to put these guys up there, align them to where we want, and then we have to trace from the inside. So what we're doing, Kaz, is we created these shims. We're just cutting these on the table saw, and then we're cutting them so that we can set these on the bottom, and it'll split the difference in the gap between the top and the bottom. And then it should be consistent all around the boat.
This was a critical step. The PMMA expands and contracts with heat and cold, so everything needs to be aligned correctly with the proper gaps to accommodate for this. If you get it wrong and there isn't enough space for expansion, it can cause it to pull away from the adhesive, which will eventually lead to leaks at best and failure at worst. But with the use of spacers and some teamwork, we got everything exactly where we wanted it, and now it was time to go inside and start marking.
All right, you guys don't go anywhere, okay? Okay. Hold tight. Crowded boat today. Everybody's in our cabin today. That's really good marking skills, Dan. That turned out pretty good. Okay, now we have 3 more to do over there.
Are we good? Yep. We're good. Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Once we had all 10 windows between both holes marked, we were ready to move forward to the next step of the prep work, applying the banding.
Here's the process: is we go around and we tape the edges like Bill's doing right now. Based on when we mark the insides of these frames, we then took a knife and we just cut that line and then pull the plastic off around that. You abrade the surface for better adhesion. We're using 240 grit just to rough it up a little bit. We clean it, and then we paint with the Prep G. This is Prep G Plus, and the purpose of this is it's an adhesion promoter, and it also blocks out the UV. So you can imagine, like we have acrylic, we have UV coming through, we have blue here. The sunlight is going to attack the adhesive, which you definitely don't want. So that's reason number one, it protects it from that. The second reason is if you put glue or adhesive here or on the inside of this, and then you put the port lights, then looking at it from the outside, you're gonna see the adhesive through the glass, even though it's tinted. And so what this does is it makes it absolutely blackout looking from this way. And so you can't see the glue, adhesion promoter, UV blocker. I think it's great. Here we go. Time to prep G'd up.
Prep G. Fast drying and easy application. Yeah.
The application's fine. It's just the prep that's a real. Gotcha.
Gotcha. The concentration phases are very intense.
You ever seen us so serious, Captain?
All this is prep for another step, right?
I know.
It's basically prep for prep for prep. You can really see the difference between there and there.
Yeah.
Next up, we needed to attach the flush mount portlets. Here, we used both an adhesive and mechanical fasteners to ensure a perfect seal.
So that's the plug from the outside, and then you screw it from the inside into that.
We had a bit of an assembly line going with Bill and I, and as simple as the process sounds, it's all quite intricate and time-consuming. Plus you have drying times in between for various steps, and multiply that by 10 windows plus all of the side quests that inevitably arise when you have so many different projects on the go at once, and it took us the better part of 2 days to wrap this task up. With all the prep work done, we are finally ready to glue the windows in place. This is a job we're leaving to our friends from Allfob though, since installing the windows really is an art. But in the meantime, we carried on with some other super exciting projects that are totally changing the look and feel of the boat.
So cool to see so many of the cabinets and wardrobes starting to go in.
It's beginning to feel like a boat in here.
I know.
You can even feel the difference just in the sound with more stuff. It's becoming even less echoey.
Yeah,
more
and like the
rich sounding.
windows and all
Yeah, it's so quiet
stuff.
in here too. When you
Yeah.
get inside here, it blocks out the fans and the music, and
Yeah.
it's really nice.
All the blasting noise. But yeah, I'm gonna go down into the porthole and show you guys the ropes that are starting to go in.
I haven't even had a chance to come down and look yet. Whoa. They fit quite well, huh? Of course they do. Imagine if they didn't. Looks nice even without all the finishing pieces on.
I know. So it's gonna be a bulkhead and a door right here. Basically, so that's not in yet. And then when you walk this way, stairs are gonna be here. There's another little robe for like probably stuff that goes into this bathroom because that's not a lot of storage in there. And then we have Sierra's robe.
All this has been done with vacuum bag foam instead of it being just like super heavy, thick 16 or 18 mil, 17 ply, whatever it is.
It's
It's
like
very
super
labor
light.
intensive, but it pays off in weight.
If you're curious about this, we made a pretty cool episode early on the planning and design phase where we really did a deep dive into why we chose veneers, how they're made, and a ton of other considerations that went into the process of fitting out the interior. Click the link here to check it out.
So after all these are installed and fitted, then the fronts come off and then they go to the painting shop in the booth, and then it'll come out. So these aren't finished, it'll look like this. So this one's been sprayed.
Yeah. So you can kind of see like a little shine. They also become a little bit darker. You know, you can't
Looks
see the
beautiful.
difference. But yeah, it's just fantastic to see the transformation, and there's a lot of thought goes into these too. Like,
We've shared quite a bit about the cabinetry and the cabins lately, but the Steves have also been making some amazing progress in the galley.
Steve and Steve are putting in the kicks. So they've already started to kind of align everything, and then gonna put the freezer because that's like a set height, and then everything kind of builds on top of that. I know I mentioned before, like that was months ago, but level of the floor is really important, and Dan and Dane has gotten it super good, so it should not be a lot of, you know, variations in the floor. because this is now the permanent floor that is glued and bolted in. So it's really cool, and I think actually the kicks will be glued in today permanently. I'm actually gonna have concrete, the same concrete as we're using in the bathrooms. I'm gonna have that on the kicks too. And I also plan to have it on like the window sills, right next to the windows up here, like behind the sofa over there and over here. But that's today. So you use roughening it up the material to be able to glue down, or?
Yeah, so obviously we're going to install these now on a filler, the right level.
Okay.
And then that's going to hold them all here. And then we're going to come back at a later date and put a cove in there and a bit of laminate, so that it's officially fixed down, so we'll fiberglass laminate. Okay. And that'll key down onto this.
Watching the carpentry come together, I've been so fascinated at how much planning and precision has to go into every single step of the way. But it's even wilder when you consider that woodwork on a boat has some pretty unique considerations compared to building in a normal home.
The concern is that the boat having so much momentum and the galley's quite heavy, so we've got to make sure it can't move forward when the boat's going.
And the whole galley goes,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
nobody got time for that.
you only get one chance to do it. So.
Yeah.
When we put these videos together, we have to cut them up and trim things down quite a bit to make it all flow together and share all the interesting info and thought processes. But this time we thought it would be cool if we just let this time-lapse play out for you so you can see how many tiny movements, trips back to the digital plans, and collaboration it takes for everything to come together. The carpentry is probably the thing we underestimated the most before starting the build, in terms of how much skill and expertise it takes to absolutely nail it. Steve and Steve have totally risen to the occasion, and so far we've been nothing but impressed and stoked with the quality of the work they've brought to the project.
Oh god, guys. It's been a day. It's been a week actually. This week has been so full on. Just wave bye to Steve and Steve. They've been here for 4 days straight now and just working away every day. This is how far we got today. They kind of glued it in place, and then when they come back next time, they will basically fiberglass it to the floor, and then the galley can be permanently mounted.
It felt great to see so much of the cabinetry going in for the last time after months of prepping and test fitting. And the other day, another huge milestone was about to be ticked off the list. The guys from Allfob were returning to install the final hull windows, and Delos 2.0 would officially be all closed up for the very first time. As seems to be the overall theme of all the window projects, there's always another prep step, and that's what Lee is starting with today.
Putting the Prep M on, the adhesion promoter.
Prep M is a fast-drying, solvent-based cleaner and adhesion promoter that enhances the bond strength of the sealant to non-porous surfaces, in our case, aluminum. It acts as both a cleaner and a primer in one go, and after applying and letting it dry, they're ready to move on to the next step.
Now he's putting what they call dam tape.
Ryan from Allfob gave us a great explanation of what the dam tape is when they were doing the salon windows last week.
Two things. One, it gives us an accurate compression point for the glue.
Okay.
So we know we've got a definite 5mm thickness for the adhesion to work.
Yeah.
So it's accurate. Plus, visually from the inside looking out, you'll have a really nice consistent line with the foam tape to make sure it was automotive sort of thing.
Oh, so that's the thing you will kind of see from the... Okay, that makes sense.
Now it was time for the moment of truth. All the prep is finally done, and now the guys will be using this construction adhesive to seal the deal. Using the same spacers that we used to mark them previously, they carefully and precisely positioned the windows into place.
Whoa, look at that. That looks so good. So now basically we've done the whole port side already. So now we can move over to starboard side. Yeah, that was the last whole window going in. Super cool. So now both starboard and port is done, and now they're just gonna start doing like the coving around.
After the windows are glued in, coving is the process of shaping and smoothing the exposed bead of sealant around the edge of the window. This step is super important and does a few different things. First off, it improves the quality and longevity of the seal by eliminating tiny air pockets and ensuring full contact between the sealant, the window, and the hull. It also helps the seal handle movement. Boats move a lot. The hull fluxes and the windows expand and contract with temperature changes. A coving fillet gives the sealant room to stretch and compress without tearing or debonding. It also protects the exposed edge of the adhesive from UV damage and general wear and tear. And lastly, but definitely not least, it creates a sleek, clean finish that looks professional and just plain sexy.
It's so fascinating how this with the windows, I feel like it's such precision work. Like they have so much attention to detail. It's pretty incredible actually to look at it, and like they just want everything to be like spot on, which is great, and of course we love it.
You can see how that's the edge of the banding right there with the dam tape.
Yep.
So that turned out real nice. And then here's I'm really a fan of these hatches. These also are a Rutgerson product. And we have screens and everything for that. So yeah, pretty cool, huh? I can't wait to take the plastic off. So yeah, we've been making a pretty huge push to get the boat closed up, because now that so much interior stuff is going in, we're in a working yard. There's a lot of dust in the air from people sanding bottoms, and it just settles on everything. And so before we start to put some of the cabinetry and finishing up the interior, we want to have the boat closed up.
I think it's cool too, like it's so interesting how you started working with Rutgerson on this like months ago, like more than a year ago.
Yeah,
and then you know, we're working with Rutgerson, which is really cool, and then working with Allfab, which has been really great too, that has been installing. Also, you know, Stradbroke Yachts doing a lot of like Dane and Dan put all the windows in like facing forward and aft. And then these came in, and you and Bill have been doing the hatches, and you also did the banding on this. So like it's been a combination of so many people working in so many different fields and expertise, and yeah, to just make it happen. And yeah, I hope it's made some good videos. I've tried to capture and kind of describe the steps as good as we can. Sometimes it can be a little bit hectic, you know, but I think we captured it pretty good. And I hope, like, if you guys have any questions that we haven't answered, I guess,
yeah,
pop them in the comments below. And yeah,
thank you for watching.
Yeah,
on to the next 8,000 things we have to do.
I know, like at least I feel so like with this, I feel like such an achievement, but it's like very short-lived. Then you're like, yep,
off to the next thing.
Here we go. But it feels really good, and the boat feels very different inside and stuff. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed these videos, and if you do, and if you want to see more behind the scenes and chat with us on a more personal level, you can head to patreon.com/svdelos and check that out. It all helps us so much, and yeah.
Yay.
See you next Friday.